Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rouse case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live chat. I appreciate it. Also, shout out to XMS and Toasty for recently becoming new members on the channel. It's good of them to do that. And as well, shout out to Cleopatra for her presence in the last live premiere I did. Okay, so where are we at right now? Well, this video, I want to share with you an update with what Candice Cooley has to say about the likes of the drone, okay, and a news article too, the most recent one by ABC4 News Utah. So we get an up-to-date view of things, progression and developments made. More to do with the drone. We'll get into that shortly, okay? Now, earlier, just as a heads up, if you're not aware, I did upload a video early this morning, and it's to do with impersonation accounts. If you want to learn more about it and be more aware and alert, make sure to check that video out after this, okay? A link will be provided in the comment section, the pinned one, okay? So, as we go along in this video, you can share your thoughts, opinions and reactions, as well as talk about other stuff too, even if it does suddenly start being about food or vampires, who knows? Now, another thing I need to point out, I was supposed to be doing the motel, hotel, pizza video today, but diversion because of this recent news on Facebook and updates. So it's more important to focus on that as well. We do have a special guest this time round, okay? It's been one of those things, okay? Okay, you get all these other, YouTubers with the live panels and live chats, but I like to bring on my own special guest and dodgy people, I'm not talking about the whip, I'm talking about, we've had the polar bear, the penguin, the puffin, a range of gorillas, orangutans, monkeys, the lot. Now we move on to something a little bit more spooky, okay? Just introduce you to this individual. Yeah. You like them? Grinding their teeth. They're very happy to be here, right? Yes, definitely. Do you have anything to say? Well, howdy there, sweetheart. My name's Joanna. Nice to meet you. What y'all need is some nice drink, don't you? I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a little bit confused. Normally you'd get that, oh my God, this is so traumatic. I really can't handle this. Oh my God, I need to see my lawyer. But no, y'all ain't getting none of that today, sweetheart. No, this ain't Ellen, don't worry. No, I'm Joanna. I'll be sitting by for today's video, y'all, and we'll see how it goes. I think we should get on with the video right now, boy. Let's go. Okay, so here is the news article, and you can see just above is the video, and I believe that might be the one I was referring to in a previous live premiere, if I'm correct in saying, and I guess this might be the transcript. Either way, we'll read through it, see what it's all about, and then follow on with Candice Cooley's response on Facebook, okay? Also, shout out to Sunny Honey, also known as Rachel, as she provided the screenshots, so credit to her. As once again, this website does not allow access out of other countries, okay, because it's restricted to the US. Let's carry on reading now. So the title of this, it says local news, missing in Utah, authorities call Dylan Round's disappearance a homicide investigation. Now that's interesting because they were briefly referring to that previously, like a month ago, if you remember. It was the third and the latest. It's been some time since they've done any more. But if you remember on the East Idaho News Channel, the third interview with Candice Cooley, Candice was explaining about Chase Venstra, saying how the police didn't see him as a suspect from day one, that he was never a part of the investigation, but they were trying to get a warrant on searching his property for guns and treating it as like a homicide case, a homicide investigation. Now, isn't it interesting? Because when I got it mixed up back then and assuming that the Dylan Rounds case was a homicide investigation, everyone was telling me, maybe not everyone, but quite a few people were telling me that I was wrong and they were talking about something else. And yet, isn't it interesting how indirectly, I was correct back then, accidentally. But look now, it's now a homicide investigation. There you go. I mean, I know we've started off the case with missing person case, then it was a criminal investigation case, and now it seems to be homicide. I mean, to some people it won't be a surprise because of how things have gone and the ideas and theories circulating around Dylan Rounds and the suspects, but it's just good to see it officially mentioned and recognised and not, completely abandoned like a cold case. That's something, I guess, in terms of progression. Anyway, the details below it says by Marcos Ortiz. He's the one you see above on the screen with that little dodgy moustache. Posted October the 3rd, 2022. Updated October the 3rd, 2022. Same time. So yeah, this is fairly up to date. Let's start reading. It reads, Salt Lake City, ABC 4. The case of Dylan Rounds, who disappeared in May, is a homicide investigation. That's what a deputy chief of Box Elder County said about their investigation. James Brenner is still the primary suspect in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds, but Cade Palmer, the deputy chief of Box Elder County Sheriff's Department, said they are not ruling out that Brenner could have been helped. Now that is kind of interesting. I mean, I was already mentioning this way back then, saying how, okay, yeah, Brenner's the main suspect. A lot of people are referring back to him, calling him out. But I kept thinking that there's a chance that there is somebody else, if not a third person, that's in on it, either as a witness, an accomplice. It could be a friend. It could be a stranger. As for friends, I was thinking, could it be Don Hatley, them two working together in some way, as they have been long-time friends? And then in recent time, I thought, could it be Chase Venstra possibly as a witness and then being forced to help Brenner possibly? Or being bribed in a way to help, giving a reward afterwards? That type of pattern. Because this is the thing, when you got these criminals out there, they all seem to know each other in some way. Got these little connections and groups. And if one person is in danger and the friends, they might cover for one another and help each other out. Possibility. I'm not saying it's literally Don, I'm not saying it's literally Chase, but possibility that it could be those who are in a way helping Brenner in some way. I mean, the only thing you could point out, and let's just bring it back up because it is a valid point. So with Don Hatley was the one that surrendered the .22 caliber rifle into the FBI despite Brenner giving it to him and requiring it to be hidden. And yet look what Don Hatley did. He called the police or called the FBI, did an interview, said what was up and what Brenner was doing about the gun storage situation, being a felon too. And it's like, well, the friends, and look what Don did to Brenner. Could it be that Don is saving his own back because he did play a part and he did help previously, but to lessen the blow, to appear less suspicious or less part of the case, grassing up on your own friends? Possibility. So different ways of looking at it, but it's interesting how despite obviously all the dodginess and incompetence by Box Elder County, these sheriffs are coming out and acknowledging that there could be other people helping. It does make you think though, if that's what they say, those individuals, suspects out there who may have helped, are they being covered therefore helped by the police, not being locked up, given some kind of protection. You never know, still a possibility. Let's continue reading. In quotation, it says, "The truth is, this case hasn't gone cold," said Deputy Chief Palmer. "It's still an active case." Well, that's good. It shows you haven't given up. Because I know there's been talks by people over time where you've got all these, I guess, popular cases or high profile ones, and they received a coverage to an extent, but the lifespan ends up fizzling out, goes quiet, and then that's it, it's abandoned. And I guess people have been kind of concerned, thinking the same would happen with the Dylan Rounds case, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Sure, you might get certain YouTubers moving on to other cases because there's only so much they can do and cover and talk about, you know. Others will just simply move on to the next popular, latest trend as well. There's different ways of looking at it like that. But I think the police corruption, or at least the police incompetence, might have helped kept the Dylan Rounds case alive. Indirectly, it's caused tension and a build-up of energy, frustration, and anger. And this is the thing, whether you're positive or aggressive, both are good in their own ways. Positive energy, aggressive energy / dark energy, there's some form of life within each one. If it's just simple, negative, dull energy, that's in the middle. Dull, flat, not responsive, empty. That's where there's no energy, no kickback, no fight, nothing. But if you have a positive person, such as someone like Ty Corbin and Lance Kelly, in terms of constantly going back out there, boots on ground, searching around in hopes of finding Dylan in whatever way, in whatever shape or form, constantly going back out despite, with every search they might not find much, and yet they keep telling themselves that, let's go back out again, let's try again. So you got that positive energy there. Then as for the aggressive energy, more vocal, you got Candice Cooley, who is taking action, who is reaching out to people such as the YouTube channels and maybe the odd news channel as well, like East Idaho News, like ABC4 News Utah, and also doing the petitions and the envelopes, postcards, sending it to the state of Utah because of the police and how they've handled things. And also Candice reaching out to, is it the Equisearch, if you call it that, and the drone. So in a way, the police incompetence has been a turning point and a catalyst that has sparked and possibly reignited the focus on the Dylan Rounds case. If it was just simple as the police are doing the best, the behind the scenes are not really finding much, then it would go very flat. I think it would just quieten down. And then maybe down the line, when the police are able to publicly release stuff or have found something, then it receives interest again and people come back looking into the case. Though, whilst it's gone a bit quiet in terms of developments, true ones in between, with this these events and drama with the police, the sheriff's wife, certain YouTubers having a go at each other, it's created noise, and with that noise can cause positive reactions, such as Ty and Lance continuing to explore, or aggressive actions, not bad, just dark energy to boost you a kick to move forwards, such as Candice, whereas like before she might have been holding back with certain information or updates because of the police, but now she's like, you know what, the way it's gone, it's time to move forwards. And even Justin Rounds as well, how he said he'll get the job done, he'll go here or there if the police aren't going to be bothered to. So that's what I mean by the aggressive energy. I don't mean literally going out on a killing spree, I just mean being pissed off to that point where you end up taking action into your own hands. So, it can go either way. There's like positives to it. Okay, so let's continue reading on. It then says, the article, it was the first time since early June that anyone from the Sheriff's Department talked with the media about the case. Yeah, we know about that because Mark Ortiz has been saying at the end of those Dylan Rounds news reports that we tried reaching out to the press, we tried reaching out to the department, and no answer. And it's understandable to why they've been quiet. It could be out of embarrassment. You know, they don't want all that media attention. You know, they're probably already aware they're failing and they've made mistakes, and they don't want it to escalate any further. They want to lay low in between. So that explains that. And it says Brenner is currently under arrest on a weapons charge and the assault of a man in 2021. Monday morning, he made a brief court appearance on those charges in Box Elder courtroom. Okay, so interesting. So it's saying arrest on a weapons charge. And from what Candice said, that weapons charge is to do with the .22 caliber rifle, if I'm correct in saying. And that would tie in with Don Hatley as well, because Don Hatley was the one, as said, that surrendered that gun in and talked and confessed. Now, it does make you think that without that gun charge, would Brenner still be arrested? Well, likely yes, because as it says there, in addition, the assault of the man in 2021, which was the 70-year-old, and we've seen the court documents around that, the methods, being punched, kicked on the ground, you know, highlighting the true nature of Brenner and what he's capable of. So, yeah, I think he'd still be in jail right now regardless. I know it's still questionable about him being arrested. Should have been done back in the past in 2021, but supposedly due to the pandemic, they couldn't arrest him. But then equally, though, still kind of questionable about the start of the Dylan Rounds case, how he should have been arrested there, but they delayed it to like June 16th or so. So it's kind of like, why did you drag it out, you know? That's still got that taste in the mouth and the suspicion around that. But yeah, as for the courtroom bit where it says there, he made a brief court appearance on those charges, and that was on a Monday morning. Now, what are they referring to there? Do any of you know in the chat? Is this talking about like the last Monday, whenever it was? What day was it yesterday? Was it Monday yesterday? Yeah, it was. I can't remember what the dates are. I haven't got the dates on with me right now, so I'm a bit clueless. But if it is referring to Monday, i.e. yesterday, then okay. But if it's probably could also be referring to way back then when they did that court appearance, because Brenner has been in court previously in 2022 at the start, which was like a few months ago. So I'm not sure when it's exactly referring to that, which month. But nevertheless, let's just move on. It continues to say, in quotation marks, James Brenner is our primary suspect at this time. Lots of other names have been shared with us, said Palmer. I can't say that James is our only suspect. Others may come up in the course of the investigation. Okay. So who are they referring to there by many? You know, what number equals many? Is it like Kurt Wadsworth, Chase Venstra, Don Hatley, maybe Ed Harshberger, someone else, maybe 4 or 5? Could it be more to do with that? Possibly. And, you know, it's not always to do with direct involvement. It could be a witness or just simply knowing something, a missing detail. You never know. It can come in all shapes and forms, big scale, small scale. Depends the ties and connections with Brenner as well. You know, I know they've always said that, you know, when certain people have gone missing or got hurt, it could be likely, you know, the suspect is someone that is known as like a family member, a friend, an acquaintance. That's what it tends to be at times. So it could be the same with connections with suspects. It could be a friend of a friend, you know, that type of thing. But with that aside, let's continue reading on. So it goes on to say, Brenner worked on the farm of Dylan The 19-year-old operated the farm in western Box Elder County near the small town of Lucin. Since early June, authorities in Box Elder have not been accessible to media or Dylan's parents. Yeah, that's true, seems to be the case. As for the whole work situation, sure, it says Brenner works on the farm of Dylan, but I believe I'm correct in saying Brenner was already on the land, the grain shed, living next to it in his trailer before Dylan came along. So that's a possibility. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I remember people wording it like that at some point. Either way, it's just basically highlighting that, Brenner knew Dylan, Dylan knew Brenner, so because of that connection, there could be motives behind it. I guess that's what it's referring to. Let's continue reading. It then says, it's brought criticism from Dylan's mother, Candice Cooley, who wants Box Elder to remove themselves from the investigation. Yep. Removing us from the case just doesn't make sense, Palmer said. We were here from the beginning. We've involved all of these other agencies, even the ones she's named to take the lead on the case. Okay. So you're seeing a response now, which is interesting. Removing us from the case just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense? Well, it does make sense. And then Palmer also says we were here from the beginning. We're here. We're the ones that started. We're the ones that end it. So Palmer seems to be, I don't know, could you say a bit of a narcissist or a bit impetuous, not understanding the level of incompetence by Box Elder County? I mean, okay, I can understand the stubbornness. Okay, they were there from the beginning and they should be the ones to solve it and end it. But also, if they are responsible for any mishaps or chaos causing trouble, then they need to right the wrongs and clear it up so they maintain a good reputation, possibly. So there's no internal investigations down the line within Box Elder County, possibly. But Palmer's saying it just doesn't make sense why we should be removed. So it's normal to, handle evidence poorly, allow the key suspect who you should have arrested early on but decided not to, you allowed him to go around the crime scene area, move objects around, contaminate evidence, ruin evidence, and take away potential evidence which could tie him and lead to a positive, successful conviction. I mean, that's not normal, is it? And then making lies about stuff, delaying resources like the cadaver dogs and the drones, and coming up with all kinds of excuses. That's not normal either. Does it make sense with all that? Not really. It shouldn't happen in the first place. And for Palmer to say what he said, it's almost as if he's completely unaware of what Box Elder County have done, or the lack of what they've done and the trouble they've caused. So leave your thoughts in the chat to what you think about that in terms of Palmer's response. A little bit impetuous and a bit of a prat in a way. Just an opinion, but just seems weird. It also says there is an awareness that Dylan may be dead and finding his body is a priority for both his family and authorities. Well, yes, for authorities to nail that conviction and the whole court case, as well as some kind of evidence to determine the charges for Brenner, murder or just being held captive, kidnapping, depending the severity of it, depending on how Dylan is found, obviously. As for the family, it's more to do with peace of mind. Even if it's a negative outcome, it kind of brings a bit of closure in a way, so you're not left guessing or thinking years on. So there is motives behind trying to find Dylan, even if it is remains. I'll take that in mind. It also says, we're treating this as a possible homicide investigation, so that would be my response to that, Palmer said. We built a fairly strong case based on forensic evidence that we found, but obviously the break in the case will be when we locate Dylan. Right, so I guess you can interpret that in different ways. So they're saying they're treating it as a homicide investigation. Does that mean with the forensic evidence they've found, is it to do with a possible shooting, stabbing, strangulation type of method to take Dylan out, to kill him that way? Is that right? Possibility. I don't know what the forensic evidence would be. The saying that it's fairly strong, the case that's been built upon it. So that's a good thing, I guess. But they're basically saying the break is we need to locate Dylan. So what happens if you don't locate Dylan? What happens when that court case trial comes up with Brenner, the one to do with Dylan, and they don't have any remains or findings of Dylan, just this case they've built? Is it strong enough to lead to a successful conviction? What do you think in the chat? Do you think it's enough? If they don't find Dylan's remains, can they still convict Brenner? Possibly. Is the evidence strong enough? And if that is the case, what about the sentence, the actual length of it? Would it be longer if they were successful in finding Dylan's body? Would the charges change from a homicide to something else, possibly? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, because the way this has been worded is like behind the scenes, in the background, we've been working, we've been doing what needs to be done, following the procedures, but we just need that final nail to make everything concrete. And it's like, well, if you don't have that final piece, can you not pull the trigger or not? That's where we're at right now. And I know people have said that with the police, even though they have been playing up and messing around, they might still be doing important work behind the scenes and they can't let anyone know about it. Okay, fair enough. But, you can't excuse some of the negative actions by the police, which has slowed down progress and means of trying to find Dylan, which, as worded here, that's what they need to do. So they kind of brought it upon themselves in a way, delaying things and whatnot. Anyway, what else does it say? But a former prosecutor with the Salt Lake District Attorney said that without a body, it would be hard to convince a jury a crime was committed. There we go. Bear in mind, I am, analysing and reading as I go along, so I'm not reading the bottom text, as I was questioning beforehand. But you get the idea of the seriousness and the importance of finding Dylan, that maybe there's a possibility of there's no progress in this time frame, then Brenner could be walking free. Maybe not immediately because of the gun charge, but at some point he might be walking free again. It depends what the charges are on the 70-year-old in 2021. Would Brenner be sentenced to 5-10 years, longer, life imprisonment? I don't know. If it was to do with Dylan, and let's just say the murder of Dylan, then it'd probably be life imprisonment or for the, for a very long time. You got to take in mind Brenner's age as well, 59 years old. He is getting gone. But as well, it's one of those other things where even if the 2021 charge of that assault of the 70-year-old and the gun charge was enough to keep him in jail for life, that's not the point. There's no justice for Dylan, and obviously more to do with the family, although they could be thinking, oh good, he's arrested and locked up now. It's not because of their experience and ordeal, it's just to do with a completely separate event that went on in the past. So to them it's like, oh, we didn't get justice and he didn't pay the price. So there's still that emptiness and that void within. So, it needs to be tied with Dylan, and they need to be able to, demonstrate and highlight that he is responsible for Dylan's disappearance or plays some role in it at least. Okay? You can leave your thoughts in the chat. But yeah, even though it has gone on for months now, it is almost feeling like a race against time now, that they've got to try and find Dylan before this court case or another one. I mean, is there a possibility that in the future, if they found Dylan, like mum's son, could they do like a retrial or something, do another court case? Is that possible? I wouldn't know because I'm not an expert with cases and law and all that, but like, is there an expiry date, or in the future, if there was new developments, could they do a retrial? Let me know your thoughts in the chat, because it's kind of important, that. But yeah, what else does it say? If there is nobody available at the time, then that oh shit, I said if there was nobody. I was reading it as like a one word. It says, if there is no body available at the time, then that element of the offence is missing and the case wouldn't even get past the preliminary hearing, said Kent Morgan, who is now a trial lawyer. Morgan noted the disappearance of Susan Powell. He was with the DA when she disappeared in 2009. Okay, right. Nobody at the time, the element of the offence is missing, the case wouldn't get past the preliminary hearing. So when they say nobody available, does that mean nobody, like Dylan's body has not been found? Dylan's body is not currently available? Is that what it's talking about? So it can't be linked to the offence of a homicide crime? Or what? Or are they talking about if certain people aren't present during the trial? I'm a bit confused about that. If you can make it a bit clearer down below in the comment section, appreciate that, okay? But interesting how it talks about Susan Powell, because yeah, that's another missing individual, and I've not looked into her, to be fair, but someone like Scott Natal has, who's also been looking for Dylan in recent time, both in Utah, if I'm correct in saying. Let's continue reading. So this is about Powell now. Susan Powell's husband, Josh Powell, was the primary suspect, but he said they needed more evidence to prove he murdered her. Josh Powell left Utah and moved to Washington, where he later killed his own 2 children when he set their house on fire. Powell then killed himself during the fire. Wow, so that went kind of dark. I said I don't know much about Susan Powell. The way it's worded here, it looks like Josh Powell could be responsible if he's capable of taking out children and doing that to that extreme, then, against a fully grown adult, possibility. And obviously with knowing each other, it's one of those situations, someone, they could be responsible in some way. But, with Powell not being alive, there can't be like a proper trial and you can't be sent down properly. You can't get that proper justice. So maybe they're trying to link that with the Dylan Rounds case if someone isn't present, whether it be the suspect or the victim who's no longer around, as like a form of evidence. Maybe it's referring to that. What else does it say? Palmer would not divulge what made Brenner their suspect. What's this? Palmer would not divulge what made Brenner their suspect. So basically, Palmer didn't want to explain too deep to why they think Brenner is the main guy. Okay. They do have his cell phone, and it's unknown why Dylan's boots were found lying near his property. So from what Candice Cooley said in a recent interview, I think it was on the Mob Crew or on No Thanks, Brenner's cell phone is kind of an older one, or it's like a different branded one, and it only holds data for 7 days, and then after that it's wiped, or it gets deleted automatically. So really, as for evidence, is Brenner's cell phone of much use or not? Like, is there text messages on it talking to someone like Don or Chase for some reason, saying, hey, you got to help me move this, or hey, you better keep quiet and not tell anyone about what I've done, that type of thing. I'm not sure. As for the boots, saying, it's still unknown to why they're laying nearby to the dirt mound. It says near his property. I assume they talk about Brenner's, but I'm kind of confused because they were found near the dirt mound, not near Brenner's property, place of living, and not literally near the grain shed, near the dirt mound, which is a bit further back, okay? And there's still questions about that, whether it's been searched or not, due to the appearance of it. it is kind of questionable. Some say it's been dug and searched, others say it hasn't. I'm in the middle because Candice said it has been, but it hasn't, but it has, but it hasn't. So that's where the confusion lies there for me, okay? It also says Palmer said their forensic evidence was reviewed by an independent team of homicide investigators outside their department. That independent review established credibility in the case and it showed there is substantial evidence, Palmer said. So that's a positive, I guess. The forensic evidence could be anything, really. Footprints, DNA, handprints, possibly. Maybe blood on the boots, referring to that as well. And by using people outside of the department, you're getting rid of that biasness, right? And that potential corruption. You know, people just seeing it at face value, I guess, who are coming in and checking formally and following the procedures. Well, you'd hope so. And they're saying it's pretty strong and there's a fair bit of evidence to prove a homicide. So, yeah, I guess that's good. Now, when it says about an independent review, is that referring to what Candice said about certain items? Do you know when Candice said on the Facebook page, like a few weeks ago, where some items are being taken back for forensics to be analysed and assessed, just in case, to go over things if anything's been missed? Is that what she was referring to then? Is that what's being talked about here or not? No link. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts anyway about this forensic developments. And, you know, in the chat, do you think it's good? Do you think it's a positive that an independent review was established within this case? Let me know. Okay, so that's it for this article. Let's just transition over to Facebook and Candice Cooley's response. So Candice Cooley's response was from 13 hours ago, and she's basically thanking Marcos. So she said, "Thank you, Marcos, for keeping Dylan's story out there. Finally, after over 4 months, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office speaks publicly." So I guess this is what Candice always wanted, this openness by them, and it's finally happened. It goes on to say, Candice said, "It would have been nice if they would have told Justin Rounds and I that they are considering it a homicide investigation instead of hearing it from Marcus." Okay, so once again, not being completely transparent, lacking communication once again. Also, nor have we ever been told anything about other suspects, not even privately. So once again, lack of communication, which isn't great. Only finding out when basically the general public find out. So I guess a bit more frustration once again. Candice also says, Cade Palmer states they were there from the beginning. They were the first couple days. They lied to us, mocked us, and literally left us in the desert to find our son. They watched the suspect clean out the shed, James Brenner, the last place we know Dylan was going. They knew he had a felony warrant yet did not arrest him. Our FBI agent has been great, but the only reason there is friction is because they failed our son from the get-go and Dylan deserves better. We still do not want them lead on the case or to ever be in charge of any prosecution in Dylan's case. Their department speaks for itself when they post more pictures of a found ram than our missing son. So what we're seeing once again is the roller coaster effect. In a short space of time in Candice's response, it's the positive idea of, really, finally, they're speaking out publicly, Box Elder County, despite everything that's gone on previously, all the controversy, all the dodginess, and, you know, lack of professionalism, and now they're finally talking and saying what's what, even if it might not be much. So that's good, isn't it? But then it's like finding out that Candice, oh, we didn't know about other suspects. Oh, we didn't know it was treated as a homicide investigation. Oh, we didn't know this. Oh, we didn't know that. up until this public release. And it's like some of that information could have been shared with Candice previous, or at least before publicly, saying it. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I was creating a custom emoji on my channel and I just basically posted it public and saying, here it is, there you go. And it's like, well, why not post it earlier, like a concept, and ask the members on the channel, what do you think? Is it okay? Is it ready for publishing? Do you approve of it? Isn't it worth letting those people know first, as it is to do with them? Custom badge, custom emoji for the actual people who are members on the channel. Consult with them first before the general public, who it doesn't link to them as much. Kind of like with the Candice and Justin situation, where they are the family, their son is missing, they have, called Box Elder County for them to help, and it's like, well, shouldn't the family know first before the general public, instead of all at the same time? So that's, you get the idea there. There's certain information which was mentioned in that article that the family could have heard about earlier, as it wouldn't have ruined the investigation. The bit about homicide and the bit about other suspects being looked at and considered. That's all I'm saying. As well, as it was talking about, like where they were saying about they were mocking and laughing and they were lying at the start of the case, Box Elder County. I mean, that doesn't say much good about them, does it? And then for that guy called Cade Palmer to say, it doesn't make sense to why we should be kicked off. We were there from the start and we've been putting in the work, basically. You see, that's what they think. If that's their mentality, then they must be delusional and in denial. If they have joked around, been disrespectful towards the family, and yet they're saying, we've done nothing wrong, there's nothing to see here. Yeah, that's typical behaviour by certain people who are responsible for something bad or not so great. And in addition, where Candice said about the RAM, they were more focused in uploading media, I guess, on Facebook of a RAM found. I mean, if you interpret it in one way, it's kind of like a kick in the teeth. It's almost like mocking, in a way, that an animal that's gone missing is more important than an individual, such as Dylan. So that's a bit odd. But then again, it's no surprise, because let's refer back to that time where the police were more interested in posting pictures of, was it a new deputy or a new sheriff, and the whole police parade on the horses, going through Box Elder or going through wherever, was it Lucin or was it Montello, going through the area, taking photos, horse parade, all this and that. And it's like, what about all the other crimes going on? What about Dylan? You're too busy obsessing with horses and not a person. And now with this about a ram, it kind of shows that they don't seem to treat the Dylan Rounds case with high priority or importance. They're almost like dismissing it in a way by focusing more on animals, I guess. So, you can leave your thoughts down below about that, as well as Candice's response. Do you think what Candice said in that Facebook post was true? Do you think she's entitled to say what she says based on her experience and based on, information she's not received? And also, do you think in the chat that Candice should have been informed about some of that stuff mentioned in that public article by Box Elder County before it was actually published publicly? Do you think so? Obviously, they are trying to build a case behind the scenes, as I said, with the forensics and getting that third-party group in as well, who are not associated with Box Elder County, to, I guess, verify and stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, that stuff probably does have to happen behind the scenes, but it still seems like there is info there which can be shared. Not so much the forensics, but to do with the acknowledgement by the police that there could be other people involved. That type of stuff, okay? So I think we will move on next to the whole drone situation, the update regarding that, okay? Before we do, just have a quick little small break, okay? I don't know if people are still present right now, or maybe people joined a bit later. We do have a guest at the moment called Joanna, Okay. This individual is a new guest, not appeared on my channel up until now. Some of you already know her because you would have seen the start of the live premiere. But if you haven't yet, here you go. So yeah, hopefully you can make the person out. So this individual, they're not too talkative, but they've got a bit of an attitude. They do have a bit of a southern accent, I guess. So we can just say hello to the new joining people to the premiere. Okay, you wanna go join her? Okay, howdy y'all. It's me, Joanna. Hello there, sweetheart. Would you like a little kiss? Would you like to open up? No? Alright, calm y'all down. Oh my God, what you trying to do to me? I can't help the way I look. I've been through a lot of shit, man. And with all the craziness going on in this mystery case and the weird people, I can't help my behavior, man. Please forgive me, Lord. Okay? Right, y'all, let's move on. Yep. Ooh, yeah, it makes your hand ache. It's like a puppet, you know, a controller. It's got like little holes inside. Ooh, holes you put your fingers in. Ooh, that sounded weird. Anyway, let's get back to the Facebook page and see what Candice has to say about the drone development. So this one was 15 hours ago. Candice Cooley says, update, we received the drone from Midwest Research on Friday. Diesel Brothers have been generous enough to offer their help in flying the drone. We are hopeful that this technology will bring us some answers and bring Dylan home to us. We are grateful that Diesel Brothers and Research are helping us make this happen. It has been far too long without any answers and we need to bring Dylan home. We'll post videos of the flight and follow Heavy D Sparks on YouTube for details on the technology and how the search goes. We once again want to thank everyone for their support and helping us bring Dylan home. Okay, justice for Dylan, find Dylan rounds. Hopefully you can see that image. I can't quite fit it all on, but basically this is supposedly the drone, I guess, and it's in different pieces. You probably have to assemble it. As you got like wires and stuff. What are them there? Are they cameras or is that what you attach? I think that might be what you attach the propellers onto, possibly. I'm not quite sure because I'm not a drone expert, but you get the idea of the equipment. It is quite high tech and also expensive too. Yeah, that is interesting. There you go. And we'll just go back up here one more time, just make sure we haven't missed any information. So, will it find Dylan? I don't know, but it gives a different perspective. It's yet another opportunity to try and find Dylan, at least. And if this technology has not been used before, then, you know, it could reveal new things. It could find stuff which couldn't have been found beforehand. So there is positives to it, and it's good how, you know, like the likes of the Diesel Brothers are, in a way, like volunteering to help fly the drones, because I'm sure they are kind of complex with the control panels, possibly, and, you know, being able to operate them without crashing, because you don't want to crash a drone. Okay, you might get those cheap ones, which you see on the funny videos on YouTube, and you crash them, it's like, oh, that's bad. But these are much more expensive, so you got to be careful. What else? It'll be good to see the videos. Most likely, I don't know where they'll be posted, whether it be on Facebook or to private groups. I can imagine when they are posted, you'll get the likes of Zav Girl reappearing, you know, doing the videos with her fluorescent, colourful thumbnails and everything. You'll probably get Tyler Feller returning back. You probably get the mob crew reviewing the footage. You probably get No Thanks showing up. They'll all join up like a party or something. not in a corrupt way, but they'll all like show up to give their opinions on the drone footage, and they'll probably have the footage themselves. I don't know where the videos will be posted, but I'm sure they'll get access to them. But regardless, it'll be good if they can share it publicly, just in case, because general public might see something other people don't see. It's happened before with things. As well, it says about, we post videos of the flight and follow Heavy D Sparks on YouTube for details. So is that just watching his videos? Because Heavy D does do exploration and use of different vehicles, helicopters and stuff like that. I don't know about, well, they have used drones as well, some of Heavy D's crew. That's if you see on his recent video when looking for Dylan with Tyne Lance, they used some drone footage there. I don't know if it was the same type of drone, but I guess he is into technology. I don't know if he's going to assist. I'm not sure if Heavy D's going to step in again and make an appearance with Candice and make their own video. I guess time will tell with that, but Heavy D is the type of guy who might not actively cover the case, comes in once in a while here and there, but he does have heavy resources, I guess, both on ground and in flight too, in the sky. So he can help, definitely. So I guess progression has been made in different areas. So whilst it's kind of good that you got these developments going on, Box Elder County finally speaking publicly, which has not been seen before, as well as the drone and it being given to Candice. The question I have, could any of those have occurred much earlier on? Yes and no. As for Box Elder County speaking publicly, they could have done, they should have done much earlier on, yet they chose not to, probably because of awkwardness, stubbornness, trying to lay low, because of the mess they caused. So they tried dragging it out for as long as possible, to the point where they had probably no choice but to speak out, I guess. But if they did it earlier, it might have cleared up a few problems. It might have resolved some tension, possibly. It might have done them good as well if they chose to. So there's that. As for the drone, kind of no. I guess it's happened at this point rather than back then, possibly because of the cost. From what was said, I don't know where the money came from. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it was worded, Duty Ron on YouTube raised money and some others to be able to afford that drone, so then Equisearch could afford it, I think. And that these drones cost from $14,000 up to $40,000 possibly. Very expensive, obviously. It's a drone, high-end technology with the use of the camera, but also supposedly infrared or heat signal type cameras. That's to be able to look for, I guess, people. Like if you were looking at a building, you can see through and you can see the outline of a human, I guess, if it's to do with that. So yeah, I guess it will be expensive, and if it's expensive, it might take time to afford them, maybe. I'm just thinking, just hold on. Okay, just hold on for a second. Box Elder County or someone had drones in the past, from what Candice said, but the way Box Elder County handled it was they were delaying stuff. They were saying that there was no one present qualified to fly the drones out and about, and yet that was a lie. And that also they didn't bother bringing a drone with them in the investigation, so they couldn't really do much there either. Well, if that's the case, then why didn't Candice try and reach out to somebody else for a drone earlier on? And as I said, I know, money situation, drones are very expensive, but why not this? If you've got $100,000 to be able to put up just like that as a reward for finding Dylan, why not use some of that reward money, take it away, and use it towards the cost of funding a drone to be able to afford one and use one, right? Because it kind of seems like they've got the money, So why did they not do it earlier on? If they knew Box Elder County were being awkward and they didn't have the drone with them, and it was obvious, then maybe they should have reached out to someone earlier, possibly. I might be completely wrong. You can correct me in the chat, but what do you think? Like, overall, do you think Box Elder County should have been more open and public earlier on to reduce tension and frustration? Do you think that would have been a good idea? And also, do you think the drone situation, that could have been introduced, the full spectral one, which is costly, could that have been introduced much earlier on in the investigation, even at costing a lot? Someone like the Rounds family seem to have a fair bit of money to be able to afford it. I know you could say, yeah, but they shouldn't have to pay for certain resources when the actual police should be doing it themselves. Well, I know, but look, it's still come to this now. I know the money probably was raised differently, not by the family, but maybe by YouTubers or certain streamers, if I'm correct in saying. But it's like, you know, there is other ways around it, but who knows? Leave your thoughts down below. Just wanted to provide to you latest updates with Candice Cooley, the drone, the equipment, the search for Dylan, and that official news report to do with acknowledging it's now a homicide case and that there are potential other individuals in question and to be, you know, taken into account. It could be anyone, okay? Kind of ties in with my thoughts and ideas with my previous theory videos. Does it tie in with yours? Who do you think is also responsible out there? Let me know down below in the comment section. I think I'll end the video here, okay? And if you've got any additional points or questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, okay? And I'll read through them later. So, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, appreciate it, and good night.